The morning light filtered through the massive, transparent dome of Zorlatep University. Students of all species hurried across the central plaza, a colorful mix of beings from across the galaxy. Some floated, others crawled, and a few rolled, on specialized mobility devices. In Lecture Hall 7, Professor Ziknax adjusted his breathing apparatus. The elderly Viridian's 6 tentacles moved with practiced grace as he arranged his teaching materials. His green skin glistened under the artificial light designed to mimic the spectrum of stars from various homeworlds. "Attention, final year, xenobiology students," he said, his translator converting his bubbling native speech into standard galactic common. "Today marks the beginning of your most important academic challenge." The 30 students quieted down. They represented 23 different species from 17 star systems. Many had never met before arriving at the university 4 years ago. Now they sat together, united by their shared study of life across the galaxy. "Your graduation assignment," Professor Ziknax continued, "will test everything you have learned. Each team will visit a classified world to study why it earned its designation in the Galactic Index." Excitement rippled through the room. Field research on actual planets was rare for students. Most expected to spend their careers studying samples, in laboratories or reviewing data collected by specialized drones. The professor activated the large display screen behind him. "The computer has created your teams based on complementary abilities and research interests. Please check your personal devices for your assignment." Students reached for their tablets and wristbands. Gasps and murmurs filled the room as they discovered their destinations. In the back row, Mira's crystalline body flickered with pulses of worried blue light. The Lumidarian's method of communication, patterns of colored light that moved across her transparent form, showed her distress clearly to anyone familiar with her species. She turned to her right, where Krill sat. The Aquilan's webbed fingers trembled as he stared at his tablet. Water dripped from his gills, a sign of extreme stress among his amphibious people. "This must be a mistake," Krill whispered, his large, unblinking eyes growing even wider. On Mira's left, Torque, a stocky graviton with rocky gray skin, accidentally crushed the edge of his reinforced desk. His species evolved on a high-gravity world, giving him strength that required constant control. "Earth," Torque said, his deep voice unusually quiet. "We've been assigned to Earth." Other students nearby fell silent, turning to look at the three, with expressions that ranged from sympathy to relief that they hadn't received the same assignment. Professor Ziknax approached their row. "I see you've discovered your destination." "Professor," Krill said, his voice bubbling with anxiety, "there must be an error. Earth is classified as a Deathworld Class 12. That's the highest rating in the Federation." "The assignment is correct," the professor replied. "And that classification is precisely what you'll be investigating." Mira's lights flashed in patterns that translated to confusion and concern. "But sir, we're students, not trained explorers. The survival rate for non-humans on Earth is not nearly as bad as the outdated textbooks suggest," Professor Ziknax interrupted. "The Federation classified Earth as a death world centuries ago, but humans now travel among us regularly. Your job is to determine if this classification remains accurate." Torque frowned, deep lines forming in his rocky face. "With respect, Professor, humans evolved on Earth. They adapted to its extreme conditions. We didn't." The professor's tentacles waved in what the students recognized as his version of a smile. "You'll have appropriate safety equipment and a human guide. The Federation maintains diplomatic relations with Earth now. You won't be dropped into the wilderness alone." The 3 students looked at each other with shared dread. "This is an opportunity," the professor continued. "No student team has been granted permission to study Earth in over 50 years. Your findings could update our understanding of one of the most fascinating planets in the galaxy." After class, the 3 gathered in the university's nutrition center. The facility featured specialized sections for different biological needs. Krill soaked in a small pool while consuming nutrient-rich algae. Mira absorbed light energy from a special lamp. Torque ate dense mineral cakes that would poison most other species. We should request a different assignment, Krill said, bubbles forming in his pool as he spoke. Everything about Earth is dangerous. The gravity alone could crush Mira's crystal structure. Mira's lights pulsed in disagreement. The university will provide gravity dampening fields. I'm more concerned about the atmospheric composition. The oxygen levels are highly combustible. Don't forget the indigenous life, Torque added. Earth has more predator species than any other known inhabited world. And the humans themselves. He didn't finish the thought. They all knew the stories. Humans could survive injuries that would kill most species. They had incredible endurance, continuing to move long after physical exhaustion would stop others. Most disturbing, they seemed to seek out danger rather than avoid it. A message appeared on their devices. Professor Zick Nax had sent details about their human guide, Frank Miller, a middle-aged diplomat stationed at the Federation Embassy on Earth who had volunteered to host alien students. Look at this, Krill said, displaying the information for the others. It says he lives in a place called Wyoming. I searched the database. It's a region with extreme temperature variations, dangerous wildlife, and minimal population. Why would they send us to such a remote area? Mira's lights flashed with worry. Actually, Torque said, reviewing the data, it might be safer than their urban centers. Human cities contain millions of individuals living in close proximity. Their social structures are extremely complex. A new file appeared in their shared research folder. Travel arrangements. They would depart in 3 days aboard a research vessel equipped with environmental controls suitable for their species. I've been thinking, Torque said slowly. If we complete this assignment successfully, it would be unprecedented. No other students have studied Earth firsthand in decades. Mira's lights shifted to a thoughtful purple pattern. Our research could be published in the Galactic Scientific Journal and lead to prestigious research positions after graduation. Krill added, his anxiety momentarily forgotten. The three looked at each other, a new feeling slowly replacing their fear, scientific curiosity. We should start preparing, Torque said. Download everything the university has on Earth and human behavior. I'll review environmental hazards and necessary precautions, Mira offered. I'll study their social customs, Krill said. We don't want to accidentally offend creatures that evolved on a Deathworld. 3 days later, they stood at the university spaceport beside their assigned vessel. Professor Zick Nax had come to see them off. Remember, he told them, observation is the heart of science. Don't just record the physical characteristics of Earth. Try to understand how those characteristics shaped human development. The students boarded the ship with mixed feelings of dread and excitement. As the vessel lifted off, they watched Zorlatep, University, grow smaller below them. Whatever happens, Torque said as the ship prepared for its first jump toward Earth, this will certainly be interesting. Krill and Mira could only agree. Their greatest academic challenge, and possibly the greatest danger they would ever face, awaited them on a small blue planet that the Galactic Federation called a Deathworld. The research vessel entered Earth's atmosphere on a clear autumn day. Mira, Krill, and Torque watched through the viewscreen as clouds parted to reveal mountains, forests, and open plains below. Their ship's computer had selected a landing site near their host's home in Wyoming. Final safety check, Torque said, his rocky fingers moving across the control panel. Environmental suits at full power. Krill adjusted his water circulation system. The special suit kept his amphibian skin moist, while filtering Earth's air to remove the excessive oxygen that could damage his breathing system. Gravity compensators active, Mira reported, her crystalline form glowing with nervous blue pulses. Without the devices, Earth's gravity would crack her delicate structure within minutes. The ship touched down on a flat area designated as a diplomatic landing zone. Through the view screen, they could see a single human figure standing at a safe distance from the landing site. That must be Frank Miller, Krill said, checking the information on his tablet. Our liaison. They performed final checks on their environmental suits before opening the airlock. The system warned them of conditions outside. Temperature 18 degrees Celsius, oxygen level 21%, Gravity 9.8 meters per second squared. All dangerous or uncomfortable for their species in different ways. Remember, Torque said as they prepared to exit, no matter what happens, this is valuable research data. The outer door slid open, and Earth's air rushed in despite the protective field. They stepped onto the metal ramp leading to the ground. Below, Frank Miller stood about 20 meters away, one hand raised in what their cultural database identified as a greeting gesture. He was shorter than they expected, with gray hair and lines around his eyes and mouth. He wore simple clothes, blue pants and a red upper garment with no visible protection against the environment. "Welcome to Earth," Frank called out, his voice reaching them through their suit translators. "Beautiful day, isn't it?" The three students moved cautiously down the ramp, sensors in their suits collecting data with every step. "How are you surviving without protection?" Torque asked through his translator, genuinely confused. Frank laughed, a sound their translators identified as expressing amusement rather than threat. "This is one of the mildest days we've had all week. About 65 degrees Fahrenheit, light breeze, normal atmospheric pressure. Pretty perfect, actually." The students exchanged glances through their helmet visors. Their research indicated Earth's weather patterns were violently unpredictable, with temperature variations that would kill most sentient species. Yet here was Frank, completely at ease with no protective gear. "I have a vehicle waiting to take you to our home," Frank said, pointing to a large metal machine parked nearby. "It's about 30 minutes from here." The vehicle looked primitive to the students, a box on wheels with no repulsor technology or visible guidance systems. The students approached it cautiously. "Is this safe?" Mira's lights flashed with concern. "Absolutely," Frank said, opening doors on the side of the vehicle. "My truck can handle these roads just fine. Been driving it for years." After some awkward maneuvering to accommodate their environmental suits, the three aliens settled into the vehicle. Frank started the engine, producing a loud rumbling sound that made Krill flinch. As they moved across the landscape, the students recorded everything they saw. The vehicle traveled along a narrow path of hardened material through undeveloped terrain. Tall plant life grew densely on either side. Occasionally, small animal forms appeared briefly before disappearing back into the vegetation. "Those are deer," Frank explained when Mira pointed at brown, four-legged creatures watching from between trees. "Harmless, unless you hit one with your vehicle." "You collide with local wildlife?" Krill asked, horrified. "Not intentionally," Frank said. "But it happens sometimes. Part of living out here." The casual way he discussed potential deadly collisions disturbed the students. In their notes, Torque recorded, "Humans accept regular life-threatening travel as normal daily activity." The vehicle turned onto a smaller path that led to a dwelling. It was constructed primarily of processed plant material with some stone elements, primitive, but solid-looking. As they approached, the door opened and two more humans emerged. One was clearly an adult female, the other a younger female. "That's my wife Linda and my daughter Kate," Frank explained. "They're excited to meet you." Linda waved from the dwelling entrance. "Welcome, come on in. I've got lunch almost ready." "Lunch?" Mira's translator asked for clarification. "Midday meal," Frank explained. "Don't worry, we've prepared separate food based on the dietary information your professor sent. Nothing that would harm you." The students followed Frank toward the dwelling, still wearing their full environmental suits. Before they reached the entrance, a smaller creature rushed out from inside and ran toward them. It had 4 legs, fur, and exposed teeth. Krill made a distressed bubbling sound, his suit's water circulation speeding up in response to his panic. "Bear, no!" Kate called out. She ran after the creature and grabbed it by a restraint around its neck. "Sorry about that, he gets excited about visitors." "What is that animal?" Torque asked, keeping his distance. "This is Bear, our dog," Kate explained, patting the creature's head. "He's friendly, just energetic. You keep predators as companions?" Mira's lights pulsed rapidly. Kate laughed. "Bear's not a predator. Well, I mean, dogs are descended from wolves, but he's domesticated. He just wants to play." The concept of keeping predatory animals for play only confirmed the students' suspicions that humans were indeed as dangerous as reported. Torque made A note in his research log. Humans maintain relationships with descendants of apex predators, treating them as friendly companions. Inside the dwelling, they found a central room with simple furnishings. The students remained standing, unsure of the safety of the sitting platforms designed for human bodies. "You can take off those suits if you want," Frank suggested. "The house is kept at a constant temperature, and the air is filtered." The students hesitated, looking at each other. "Perhaps we should keep them on for now," Torque said diplomatically. "Our bodies require time to adjust to new environments." "Whatever makes you comfortable," Linda said. She disappeared into another room and returned carrying several containers. "I've prepared your meals according to the specifications we received." The food items had been carefully separated based on their different biological needs. Mineral compounds for Torque, specialized light-absorbing nutrients for Mira, and aquatic vegetation for Krill. The humans ate their own food at the same time, consuming plant and animal matter that they heated to high temperatures. The students observed this process with scientific interest, noting how humans required complex preparation of their food to make it safe. As they ate, Frank explained their plans for the next few weeks. "We'll start slowly, letting you adjust to Earth conditions. Short trips at first, then gradually longer excursions to see different environments. Our first priority is safety," Linda added. "We understand that Earth can be challenging for non-native species." "I can show you around our property tomorrow," Kate offered. "We have 10 acres with a small pond and walking trails." The students agreed to this plan, though they remained nervous about exploring even a small portion of this death world. That night, as they settled into separate rooms prepared for them, a loud sound shook the house. Bright light flashed through the windows, followed by a tremendous crashing noise. The three aliens activated their emergency communications instantly. "What's happening?" Krill's voice bubbled with panic. "Some kind of attack," Torque responded, his rocky fingers checking his suit's defense systems. Mira's lights flashed urgent patterns. "Should we return to the ship?" The door to Torque's room opened and Kate stood there looking confused. "Are you okay? I heard noises." "What is that attack outside?" Torque asked, bracing for emergency protocols. Kate looked even more confused. Then, understanding dawned on her face. "Oh, you mean the thunder? It's just a thunderstorm. Rain, lightning, thunder. Pretty normal weather." "Normal?" Mira's lights pulsed in disbelief. "Electrical discharges from the atmosphere are normal?" "Yeah, happens all the time," Kate said with a shrug. "Actually helps me sleep better. Like white noise, you know?" After Kate left, the three students connected their communication systems again. They consider atmospheric electrical attacks sleep-inducing, Torque noted in his research log. "This confirms everything in our briefing materials," Krill said. "Earth truly is a death world." As lightning continued to flash outside and rain pounded against the dwelling, the students realized their research mission had only just begun. The true nature of Earth and its inhabitants was going to be even more extreme than they had imagined. After 1 week on Earth, the three alien students had gathered enough data to fill a standard research database. They met each morning in the guest room Torque used, comparing notes and observations. Humans consume substances that would be considered weapons grade on other worlds, Krill said, reviewing his food analysis. Yesterday, Linda added a compound called hot sauce to her meal. It contains capsaicin, which causes pain sensations and tissue inflammation. "Did she show signs of distress?" Mira asked, her crystalline body glowing with curiosity. "No," Krill bubbled. "She said it adds flavor. They deliberately seek out pain-inducing chemicals for enjoyment." Torque added this to their growing list of human abnormalities. Their relationship with physical discomfort is unique among known species. They voluntarily expose themselves to pain for various reasons. A knock on the door interrupted their discussion. Kate stood in the doorway, wearing what the students had learned was outdoor clothing. "Dad sent me to ask if you're ready for today's hike," she said. "We're leaving in about 15 minutes. The students looked at each other. They had agreed to this expedition the previous day, though with significant reservations. "We will be prepared," Torque answered for the group. When Kate left, Mira's lights pulsed with worry. Are we certain our environmental suits can handle extended outdoor exposure? The suits are designed for much harsher conditions than Earth's surface, Torque assured her. And Frank said the trail is easy by human standards. Krill made a bubbling sound that translated as a skeptical laugh. Easy by human standards could still be lethal for us. They finished their preparations and joined the Miller family outside. Frank carried a small backpack, while Linda held what they recognized as water containers. Kate stood nearby with the canine predator Bear on a restraint. Perfect. Day for a hike, Frank said, looking up at the sky. About 4 miles round trip to the overlook and back. Should take a couple hours at a leisurely pace. The students followed as Frank led the way onto a dirt path that wound into the forest beyond their dwelling. Bear pulled at his restraint, eager to move faster, while Kate held him back. The trees here are mostly lodgepole pine, Linda explained as they walked. They're adapted to survive forest fires. Actually, some pine species need fire to release their seeds. Plants that require destruction to reproduce? Mira's lights flickered with surprise. Earth's ecosystems evolved with regular fires as part of their cycle, Linda said. Nature here is resilient. As they moved deeper into the forest, the path began to slope upward. The students' suits automatically adjusted to compensate for the changing elevation and gravity effects. For the humans, however, the climb appeared to require increased physical effort. Frank's breathing became more pronounced, though he showed no signs of stopping. Careful through here, Frank warned, pointing to a section of trail ahead. There's poison ivy off to the sides. Poison? Krill asked, his translator emphasizing the alarm in his voice. Just a plant that causes skin irritation if you touch it, Frank explained. Nothing serious unless you're allergic. Torque made a notation. In his research device, humans casually navigate environments filled with toxic flora, considering severe skin reactions, nothing serious. The trail grew steeper. Kate and Bear moved ahead easily, while Frank and Linda maintained a steady pace. The alien students, despite their environmental suits' assistance, found the climb challenging. You doing okay back there? Frank called over his shoulder. We are, functioning adequately, Torque replied, though his rocky form was struggling with the constant adjustment to the changing incline. Krill's water circulation system worked overtime to keep his amphibian body cool inside the suit. Mira's crystalline structure vibrated slightly with the effort of movement. Just another quarter-mile to the overlook, Linda encouraged them. When they finally reached their destination, even the students had to admit the view was impressive. The forest spread out below them, and in the distance snow-capped mountains rose against the blue sky. It's beautiful, Mira said, her lights shifting to appreciate the landscape. Those mountains get about 15 feet of snow in winter, Frank said casually. Temperature drops to well below freezing for months. And humans live here year-round? Krill asked. Sure do, Frank replied. We adapt. Better insulation for the house, warmer clothes, snow tires for the truck. Winter sports are popular too. Skiing, snowboarding, ice fishing. You venture out in freezing conditions for recreation. Torque's voice couldn't hide his disbelief. Frank laughed. Some people live for winter sports. The more extreme, the better. As they rested at the overlook, Kate pointed to a distant movement in the forest below. Look, elk herd. Through their enhanced viewing settings, the students observed large, four-legged creatures moving through the trees. Are they dangerous? Krill asked. They can be if threatened, Linda said. A bull elk can weigh up to 700 pounds, and those antlers aren't just for show. But they generally avoid humans. Unless it's hunting season, Frank added. Then they get pretty wary. Hunting season? Mira's lights pulsed with confusion. Some people hunt elk for meat and sport, Frank explained. My buddy Scott gets a permit every year. Goes out with his brothers for a week. They've got a cabin deeper in the mountains. The concept of humans pursuing large, potentially dangerous animals through remote wilderness, voluntarily for sport, reinforced everything the students had read about Earth's classification as a death world. On the hike back down, Kate stopped, suddenly holding up her hand. Everyone freeze, she whispered. The students instantly activated their defensive systems, certain they were about to witness some deadly Earth threat. Kate pointed to a spot just off the trail. Coiled there was a patterned rope-like creature. "Rattlesnake," she said quietly. "Don't worry, it's warning us to stay back. Hear that sound?" A dry rattling noise came from the creature. The students' information databases immediately identified it as a venomous reptile capable of delivering a potentially fatal bite. "I'll encourage it to move along," Frank said, picking up a long stick. With careful movements, he guided the snake away from the trail until it slithered off into the underbrush. "That was a prairie rattlesnake," he explained, once they resumed walking. "Their venom isn't usually lethal to healthy adults if you get medical treatment, but it's best to give them space." "And these creatures live near your home?" Krill asked, his voice bubbling with anxiety. "They're all around," Kate said with a shrug. "Just have to watch where you step and listen for the rattle." The casual way the Millers discussed venomous predators living in proximity to their dwelling stunned the students. In their notes, Torque added, "Humans coexist with lethal wildlife, establishing dominance through knowledge rather than separation." That evening, as they ate dinner, Frank mentioned plans for the following day. "Thought we'd drive into town tomorrow," he said. "Show you a bit of human civilization beyond our little place here." "How far is this town?" Mira asked. "About 30 miles, Linda replied. "Half-hour drive, give or take." The students remembered their first experience in Frank's vehicle, traveling at speeds their species would consider emergency-only velocities. "Is this method of transport common among humans?" Torque asked. "Driving? It's how most people get around in rural areas like this," Frank said. "Public transportation isn't practical with everyone spread out so far." Later, in their evening research meeting, the students discussed what they had learned. Humans routinely travel at deadly speeds in minimal protection vehicles, Krill noted. "They live alongside venomous predators without concern," Mira added. "And they consider extreme temperature variations and toxic plants to be normal," Torque concluded. As Krill updated their research database, he paused. "We've only been here 7 days," he said. "This is just one small region of Earth, considered remote and peaceful by human standards." The 3 students contemplated this reality. If this was Earth at its most calm and hospitable, what other dangers awaited them in the days ahead? The true nature of this death world, and the remarkable species that called it home, was only beginning to reveal itself. The trip into town proved even more eye-opening for the alien students than their nature hike. Frank drove his vehicle along what he called a highway, where multiple transport machines moved at terrifying speeds within meters of each other. "Humans call this traffic," Torque noted in his research log while gripping his seat tightly. "They consider it annoying rather than terrifying." Krill had positioned his environmental suit's fluid systems to maximum stability, yet still felt physically ill as the truck moved around curves in the road. "How do you prevent collisions?" Mira asked, her crystalline form vibrating with each bump in the road. "Painted lines, traffic signals, driving rules," Frank explained. "Plus everyone pays attention, mostly." The casual way he described a system that relied entirely on individual organic beings making correct decisions moment by moment astounded the students. Their homeworlds used automated guidance systems and AI controllers for any transport moving faster than a walking pace. The town itself was small by human standards but overwhelming to the aliens. Dozens of buildings lined the main street, with humans moving freely between them. Children played in an open area with climbing structures that appeared deliberately dangerous. "That's the elementary school playground," Linda explained, following their gaze. "Kate went there when she was younger." "You allow your young to climb on those metal structures?" Krill asked. "Without safety fields?" "Kids need to learn their limits," Linda said. "A few scrapes and bruises are part of growing up." Frank parked the truck in a designated area, and they walked along the street. The students stayed close together, their environmental suits attracting curious stares from passing humans. "Let's stop here," Frank suggested, pointing to a building with a sign reading, "Joe's Diner, best place to see everyday human life." Inside, they found a room filled with tables where humans consumed food and beverages. The noise level, Dozens of conversations happening simultaneously overwhelmed the students' audio processors. A human female approached them. "Hey, Frank, Linda, Kate, the usual table?" She glanced at the alien visitors. "And special seating for your guests?" "Thanks, Rita," Frank replied. "These are exchange students here to learn about Earth." Rita showed no surprise at their unusual appearance. "Welcome to Wyoming. Let me know if you need anything special. We've served visitors from off-world before." They settled at a corner table. The students observed as humans around them consumed various substances, many of which their scanners identified as potentially harmful. "That beverage contains ethanol," Torque noted, pointing discreetly to a nearby table. "A known toxin and psychoactive compound." "Beer," Frank confirmed. "In moderation, it's a social drink. Too much isn't good for you, though." "Yet humans consume it voluntarily?" Mira's lights pulsed with confusion. "Some things are worth a little risk," Linda said with a smile. After eating, the students consumed nutrient packs from their supplies. Frank suggested they visit the local high school where a game was taking place. "My friend Diane teaches physical education there," he explained. "The school football team has a match today." At the school, they found a large open field where young humans wearing protective gear were deliberately colliding with each other while chasing an inflated object. "This is a competitive activity?" Krill asked, watching as one human tackled another to the ground with considerable force. "Football," Kate explained. "It's popular in schools. I play volleyball myself. Less tackling, but still competitive." Female human approached them from the sidelines. "Frank, Linda, good to see you." She looked at the alien visitors with open curiosity. "These must be the exchange students you mentioned." "Diane Jordan," Frank introduced her. "She teaches physical education here." "You're supervising this activity?" Torque asked. "The deliberate collisions between students?" "It's just football practice," Ms. Jordan explained. "Great for building teamwork, strategy, and physical conditioning." "Your juveniles train for combat?" Mira's light patterns pulsed with alarm. "It's just a game," Ms. Jordan laughed. "Though I guess my ex-husband would say the same about his weekend hunting trips with Sam and Jeff. The concept of hunting dangerous, animals for recreation rather than survival left the students speechless. As they watched the practice continue, Torque observed the young humans picking themselves up after hard falls, continuing despite what must be painful impacts. "Human pain tolerance appears significantly higher than most species," he noted in his research log. "Perhaps an evolutionary adaptation to their high-gravity, high-danger environment." "Do injuries occur frequently?" Krill asked Ms. Jordan. "Sprains, strains, occasional concussions," she replied matter-of-factly. "Nothing too serious usually. The kids wear protective gear." The casual dismissal of brain injuries as nothing too serious further confirmed the students' assessment of human durability and risk tolerance. After leaving the school, they stopped at a building Frank called a grocery store. Inside, the students were overwhelmed by the variety of substances humans consumed. Their scanners identified numerous items that would be toxic to their species. "You eat these plants?" Mira asked, indicating a display of colorful vegetation. "Those are hot peppers," Linda explained. "Some are quite mild, others are extremely spicy. People have different preferences for how much heat they can handle." Krill's translator struggled with the concept. "Humans compete to consume higher levels of pain-inducing food?" "Some do," Linda admitted. "There are even hot pepper eating contests." As they moved through the store, Torque noted the casual way humans handled their food. No sterile fields, minimal protective coverings, direct skin contact with items they would later consume. "Your species has remarkable resistance to biological contaminants," he observed. "Our immune systems are pretty good," Frank agreed. Exposure to a wide range of bacteria and viruses throughout life helps strengthen them. On the drive back to the Miller home, the students processed what they had witnessed. Humans deliberately expose themselves to pain through spicy food, contact sports, and dangerous recreational activities. They traveled at high speeds with minimal protection. Their young were encouraged to take physical risks as part of normal development. No wonder Earth is classified as a death world, Krill said privately to his fellow students through their suit communications. Not just because of the environment, but because of what that environment produced. A species that seeks out danger rather than avoiding it. When they returned to the Miller home, Frank received a communication on his portable device. His expression became serious as he read the message. "Everything okay?" Linda asked. "Forest fire in the western section," Frank replied. "They're calling in volunteer firefighters. I need to go." "Forest fire?" Mira's lights pulsed with alarm. "A large-scale burning of plant life?" "It happens every summer," Kate explained. "Usually lightning strikes start them. This one's still small, about 3 miles from the Henderson property." "And Frank is going toward this fire?" Torque asked, unable to comprehend such an action. "He's part of the volunteer fire department," Linda said with a mixture of pride and worry. "They help protect remote properties and support the professional firefighters." The students watched as Frank quickly gathered equipment from a storage area. He changed into heavy protective clothing and boots, far more substantial than anything they had seen him wear before. "Should be back tomorrow," he told his family. "Don't worry, it's still small and the wind is favorable." Linda hugged him tightly before he left. The students observed this interaction with scientific interest, the female showing obvious concern while simultaneously supporting the male's decision to move toward danger rather than away from it. After Frank departed in his truck, the 3 aliens gathered in their research room to update their findings. "Humans not only survive in dangerous conditions," Torque said, "they voluntarily enter higher danger zones to protect others. Such behavior defies standard evolutionary logic," Krill noted. "Most species develop risk avoidance instincts. Perhaps their social bonds override individual survival instincts," Mira suggested, her lights forming thoughtful patterns. As night fell, they could see an orange glow on the distant horizon. The forest fire was visible even from miles away. None of them fully understood why any sentient being would deliberately move toward such destruction, but they were beginning to realize this behavior might be the key to understanding why Earth's dominant species had thrived on a world that should have destroyed them. The next morning, Linda seemed worried. Frank had not returned, and news reports showed the forest fire had grown overnight. Strong winds had pushed it toward populated areas. "I'm going to the community center," Linda told the students. "They're setting up an evacuation shelter. You 3 should stay here and prepare in case we need to leave." After Linda left with Kate, the 3 aliens discussed their situation. "According to safety protocols, we should return to our ship," Torque said. "Forest fires can move rapidly and unpredictably." "But our research mission is incomplete," Mira argued, her lights pulsing with scientific curiosity. "This situation provides valuable data on human responses to crisis." Krill's water circulation system bubbled with anxiety. "Our environmental suits can withstand high temperatures, but not actual immersion in flame." Their discussion was interrupted by an urgent message on the communication device Frank had given them. Linda's voice came through, sounding stressed. "There's been an accident. Frank and some others went to help the Garcia family who didn't evacuate in time. Their house is cut off by the fire now. I don't want to worry Kate, but I thought you should know." After the message ended, the 3 students looked at each other. "This behavior confirms everything in our research," Torque said. "Humans willingly enter dangerous situations to assist others, even at great personal risk." "Should we offer assistance?" Mira asked. "Our environmental suits have capabilities humans lack." "That would violate our observer status," Krill reminded them. "We're here to study, not intervene." Another message came through. This one was from Frank, his voice barely audible over background noise. "Linda, if you get this. We reached the Garcia place. Paul and his boy Danny are trapped inside. House is still standing, but the shed's gone and the fire's getting close. Fire crews are trying to get through, but the road's blocked by fallen trees. We'll try to get them out another way." The message ended abruptly. The 3 students stared at the device. "The situation sounds extremely dangerous," Torque said. "Even by human standards. Frank clearly understands the danger yet proceeds anyway," Mira observed, her lights flickering with new understanding. Krill checked the local information network on his research device. The Garcia home is approximately 4 miles from here, in the forest area we observed during our hike. Current weather conditions are driving the fire in that direction. They stood in silence for a moment. Then Torque made a decision that surprised even himself. I propose we modify our mission parameters. We will observe this situation directly while maintaining appropriate safety margins. You mean go to the fire? Krill's gills fluttered with surprise. Our environmental suits can withstand conditions humans cannot, Torque reasoned. This provides a unique research opportunity. Mira's lights pulsed in agreement. The data would be invaluable. We could observe human emergency response behaviors firsthand. They quickly gathered their research equipment and programmed the navigation system in Frank's secondary vehicle, a smaller transport machine he had shown them how to operate in, case of emergency. As they approached the forest area, they could see the fire clearly. Orange flames consumed trees and undergrowth, creating a wall of heat and light. Dark smoke filled the sky. The vehicle's sensors warned of dangerous air quality and high temperatures outside. They stopped at a point where several human emergency vehicles blocked the road. Humans in protective clothing moved purposefully around the area. No one questioned the aliens' presence. The emergency situation took priority over curiosity about their appearance. From a safe distance, they observed the human response to the crisis. Some humans operated machines that sprayed water on burning vegetation. Others communicated through devices, coordinating their movements. The level of organization impressed the students. Their emergency response shows considerable adaptation to recurring threats, Torque noted in his research log. Using their suits' enhanced visual capabilities, they scanned the forest ahead. Beyond the human roadblock, they could see a structure, partially surrounded by flames. Their sensors detected several human life forms inside. That must be the Garcia dwelling, Mira said. I'm detecting 5 human biosignatures. 3 are approaching from the forest side, 2 remain inside the structure. The 3 approaching must be Frank and other rescuers, Krill said. They're moving directly toward the danger. Through their visual enhancers, they watched as Frank and 2 other humans reached the dwelling. Moments later, part of the structure collapsed, trapping all 5 humans inside. Without discussion, the 3 alien students moved past the human roadblock, their environmental suits allowing them to approach closer to the fire than would be safe for unprotected humans. We're still observing, Krill justified as they moved forward, just from a closer position. When they reached the dwelling, they found a scene of crisis. Part of the roof had fallen, blocking the main exit. Frank and another human male were trying to lift a heavy wooden beam that trapped a 3rd human. A small human child coughed in the smoke-filled air. Frank looked up in shock when the 3 environmental suit-clad aliens entered. What are you doing here? It's not safe. Our suits can withstand these conditions, Torque explained. We observed your situation and came to gather data. Without waiting for response, Torque moved to the fallen beam. His species had evolved in high gravity, giving him strength beyond human capability. He lifted the beam easily, allowing the trapped human to be pulled free. The structure's integrity is failing, Mira warned, her sensors detecting stress in the remaining supports. Complete collapse imminent. We need to get Danny out first, Frank insisted, pointing to the child who was now struggling to breathe. Krill moved to the child. His environmental suit contained advanced filtration systems. He extended an emergency breathing attachment from his suit and placed it over the child's face. This will provide clean air, he explained. We must exit quickly. With Torque supporting the injured adult, Krill carrying the child, and Mira using her crystalline form's light capabilities to guide them through the smoke, they made their way out of the burning building. Frank and the other uninjured human followed. They reached safety just as the rest of the structure collapsed. Emergency human responders rushed forward to take the injured humans. In the confusion, no one questioned how the aliens had managed what the human rescuers could not. Later, at the evacuation center, Frank found the 3 students. His face was streaked with soot, and medics had treated him for minor burns and smoke inhalation. You saved Paul and Danny, he said. Thank you. But why did you risk yourselves? You're here to study, not to get involved. The three students exchanged looks before Torque answered. We began as observers, but we learned something important today. Sometimes understanding requires participation. We wanted to know why Earth is classified as a death world, Mira added, her lights pulsing gently. Now we do. Frank looked confused. Because of the fires, the dangerous conditions? No, Krill explained. Earth is dangerous, yes. But what makes it truly remarkable is not the threats it contains, but how those threats shaped its inhabitants. You don't merely survive your world. You confront its dangers to help others survive too. 2 months later, the students presented their findings to Professor Ziknax and the Xenobiology Department of Zorlatep University. Their presentation caused a sensation in the academic community. Earth's death world classification remains, technically, accurate, Torque explained to the assembled academics. But the classification misses something crucial. Humans don't merely survive their world. Mira's light patterns formed complex analytical symbols. They thrive because of it. Their evolutionary response to constant threats wasn't just physical adaptation, but behavioral adaptability. Their research detailed how humans routinely operated beyond their theoretical physical limits, ignored survival instincts, and formed cooperative bonds that overrode individual safety, behaviors almost unknown in other sentient species. The most dangerous thing about Earth, concluded Krill, is what it taught its children, that danger can be faced, that risk can be managed, and that sometimes helping others is worth any risk. Their findings were published in the Galactic Scientific Journal and eventually reached the Federation Security Council. The three students graduated with highest honors and began distinguished careers, frequently returning to Earth for additional research. And in their personal research logs, each kept a picture of the Miller family, ordinary humans who had shown them the extraordinary truth about Earth and its remarkable inhabitants.